welcome to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer. With me today, I have a very special guest. Now, I got in trouble for always saying that every one of my guests is very special. So now I'm doing a whole improv game to introduce everyone because I'm taking the first letter of their name and combining it with an adjective that starts with that letter. So today, I want to welcome you to more than just Jim. It is Jumpin' Jehoshaphat Jim. That's what it is today. So
What they call
welcome,
me.
Jim. How's it going?
Hey man, good to see you. Good to be here.
You too. Yeah, you too. I think the last time I saw you, you had a lot less hair. So,
Yeah, I found out over the pandemic that my hair grows insanely fast. It was at the beginning of the pandemic, it was a little shorter than yours, probably.
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. You definitely. I've only known you with short hair. I don't like my hair to grow, so I get it cut a lot. That was also a lot of harsh tease. Anyways, enough about my haircuts. Let's talk about you. What is your improv experience, or your background in improv, whatever that means to you?
I think like a lot of people my age, the first thing I ever saw of improv was Who's Line in the 90s or whatever. I guess is what it was. And I didn't really think it was something that people could do. I thought it was just like a show. And then when I encountered something similar in college, I did that for a little while. But never, really took it too awfully seriously. And I came out to LA, I did like kind of blasted right through the groundings. The first, you have to audition to get into it in the first place. And then I got through the first couple levels. And then they're like, okay, so it'll probably be like a 2-year wait. And I was like, okay, peace out. And I just
Yeah.
never followed up with it. I was doing enough stuff at that time that I just moved on. Sorry, my dog is being fussy right now.
No, it's all good. No worries. Your dog can
We're
make a
just like,
cameo. It's fine.
what's that?
Your dog can make a cameo. It's fine. It's the Improv Summit Dog Edition. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, they're better at improv than I am. And so then I didn't really do it for a long time. Well, I'll come back to it. But I did another group in the meantime, and then like probably 5 years later, I started up IO, and I was like, okay, so this is the place I like.
Mm.
And a couple years later, they closed down. So
Yep, that
and
happens.
yeah, and at the end of that, I was doing Second City, which, as you know, the couple of main stage shows there, but they weren't improv. They were scripted shows. Although there
Yeah.
obviously a lot of improv happened in the shows, that they weren't really improv based.
Yeah, improvised elements of the shows that are
Yeah,
scripted for sure,
which is
which is kind of like a thing, scripted improv, or that's not really what it's called, but anyway, improv structure. Oh, geez, what is it? I'm blanking. But the idea is that you have like a very specific suggestion, or you build out the beats, but then you improvise around the storyline. Structured improv, I guess, is what I think it's called. I don't know,
yeah.
but
Well, I don't know
but
the name for it, but it's obviously like what Larry David does and a lot of those guys, the improvised movies. It's like, well, they can't
right.
be entirely improvised because how are you gonna make a movie out of that? But yeah, they
Right.
have their format, they have their beats that they hit. But yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's like this whole idea of like completely improvised, completely scripted, and then all this fun stuff in the middle that kind of melds the two, in their own way.
yeah.
But that's a whole conversation for another time, I think, because that's for the experts of structured improv. Anyway, off onto my segue, which I'm doing this now because I can never think of a segue, so I just make a segue.
Do a segue. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I do. What do you love about improv?
Um. Hmm. I mean, I love the honesty of it when it is, because good improv should be honest. But what I mean by that is like, I think a lot of people probably say that and they mean like truth telling. That's not necessarily what I mean. What I mean is like, things happen in life and that includes on stage, and reacting to them honestly is what improv is. And a lot of times, in theater in general, but also in improv that is not necessarily very successful, it's like you're reacting to what you think as to what is actually happening. And when
Mhm.
it's going well, and I think that again with those shows at Second City, that's why those improv moments happened, is because every show is different and something different will happen, and so you just react to that thing as it happens, the way it happened, not the way it was scripted. You know.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. I think what I know about improv, and like one thing that I love about it is that it's helped me build my confidence. But I think it's super great for both uh, performance jobs, acting and all of that, but it's also great for like non-actors. Like, and that's what I think is something that, scripted stuff like a sketch show, most non-actors are probably not going to do a sketch show,
Mhm.
because they don't want to act. But people who don't necessarily want to act could also still do improv. So it's like this like interesting, like, it makes me think of like Secret World of Alex Mack, where she like dissipates into like the water in the. I never watched it that much. It
Don't know
was
this
like
show at
that,
all.
but it was like 1993 Nickelodeon era. Anyway, but what I loved, but I guess my whole point is the analogy of improv, where she is like a person, and then she like turns into like water droplets or something in
Hmm.
the theme song. I don't remember. I don't remember what that show's about, but it feels like that's how you can. It's like molding. Like as an improviser, you as someone who's improv. The point is, I just wanted to bring up a really obscure reference.
Sure.
That was the reason. No,
That's what
it's
improv really is. It's showing
yeah.
off the things you know, and
Yeah, exactly. No, it's because
or don't know in this
like
case.
with non-actors can also do improv, because it's a skill that actors can use for performance, but it's a skill that anybody can use for their daily life as well. I think that's where I was going with it, and then I just kind of thought of that obscure reference
Spiraled
that
off into something, crashed,
yeah,
burned. We walked out of the wreckage. Here we are.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely. I mean, I don't know why people who have no interest in improv would be doing improv, but I get what you're saying. Like, I think it is. Um, it could be like it could be a therapeutic thing for some people. Like, I don't think that
yeah,
that should ever be on stage. Theater is not therapy. Hopefully, but for it is. I think a lot of people who maybe took it because they're writers, for instance, ended up finding out that it is actually helpful in their daily lives because it helps them to again go with honest reactions, to say
hmm,
yes as they use in the industry. Um, because particularly in our field in entertainment, things can be tough, they can be scary, and learning how to just kind of go with things and um, just react honestly and in the moment it's a good skill to have.
sure, I agree completely. That being said, one thing that I know that I have a hard time with is remembering what I do or see in an improv scene or a show, because it's so in the moment, and unless I go back and like I'm like vigorously taking notes or like watching a replay, it's often hard for me to remember, especially if I'm in a scene doing a herald. And you bring me back as a character, I'll be like, Remind me what I was doing, like what was my thing?" Because I won't remember. But there are certain scenes or certain moments that I've either seen as an improviser or performed as an improviser where I will never forget because I had an aha moment.
Mhm.
Um, so for this question, I guess it's kind of an amalgamation of things. So pick whatever you want. Are there any scenes that you remember that stuck out with you as an aha moment, as an audience member, as a student, or as a performer, something you remembered because it just was like a memorable scene?
Now, do you mean just a scene that was successful and so I remember it, or an aha moment as in like it taught me something?
Either one, whatever you glean from that question, because it was a lot.
Well, I mean, there's lots of scenes that that like that really stick with you because they really work. And you could also take the aha as like they work in a surprising way. Again, which is where honesty comes in. It's amazing. Like, all the biggest, best laughs I've ever gotten were moments where I didn't even know what I was saying until I was saying it because I was
Mm,
just honestly reacting to what happened. Um, Maybe I'll come back to aha moments where I actually learned something. Like, I remember there was one scene that happened um, where I was playing like a spoiled little brat who had always gotten his way. And by little, I don't mean like, he was like 20, early 20s, let's say.
mm, hmm.
Uh, and I guess it happened in the 70s because I really wanted to get into Club 54. Um, and yeah. And at some point, like, my butler sacrificed his life for me. He died. And so I came in to the scene and it was just like, they're like asking why I'm so upset. I'm like, well, I couldn't get into Club 54 and my butler died. And
Wow.
it absolutely killed because, and like I said, it wasn't something I planned. It just popped in my head. And
Sure.
I realized afterwards what was so funny about that is that this kid is so spoiled that the person who has raised him since he was a kid, that's the secondary concern. Mainly, I couldn't get into the club I wanted to. Oh, but also this person very close to me died. And so that, I guess that is an aha moment that taught me something, is that like those little character things that come out just honestly in the moment are very funny.
Mm,
That specificity and that those things that really give you an insight into what kind of character it is are very, very funny things.
that's great. That's great. I love the idea of like, it's like playing a character. And they always say play to the top of your intelligence, the height of your intelligence, because it is going out and just like being a human, or being a character that we can relate to, whether it is human or non-human. So I think that that's a good point. I want to ask you now if you have any plugs or pitches for anything that you may have coming up in the near to distant future.
Well, it's a tough time for that, obviously.
Hmm.
Not a lot going on, but I do have a short film coming out, hopefully end of this year or early next year, with John Conroy. I don't know if you know him.
Mm,
He was a big IO guy. Like he was big
sure.
in that group. Like he did a lot of the Sunday Show and whatever. But yeah, we did a film together called Just Business that should be coming out later this year or early next. Things are kind of up in the air right now.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it right now. Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's it's an interesting world we're in right now. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, Jim, thanks so much for joining me here. I have one final question. I just got Jimmy Stewart on it, so I could cover myself by not saying the word final. One final question for you, which is the reason why the Improv Summit exists.
Okay.
A lot of times before pandemic, but even now, so with pandemic and improv having the availability to be accessible from anywhere in the world, people are like, "Oh, you've done a lot of improv. Where should I take improv?" And it's hard for me to answer that question because I think there's a lot of factors involved into choosing where to take improv. But if someone came up to you and said, "Oh, you take a lot of improv. Where should I take improv?" What would be one piece of advice or one tip that you give to someone to help guide them on their improv journey?
Okay. Well, I actually, surprisingly to a lot of people, I have not actually done a lot of improv. I've done a bit here and there. Um, and because of that, I don't know a lot of the specifics, like the things that exist. But I'd say a rule of thumb that I've learned, and I'm sure this is probably a very similar thing to what everybody's saying, which is just go see shows at every place you can
Mm,
find. And for me, I'm sure a lot of people would suggest like which ones do you like best, which one makes you laugh or whatever. But for me, I think what I discovered, like when I found IO, was more which is the community you'd most want to be a part of. Because there might be, like obviously the Groundlings produces a lot of like SNL mates and that kind of stuff. But I was doing well in that program, and it wasn't for me. I didn't feel comfortable there. I didn't and don't get me wrong, they're obviously very, very talented, but they do a specific thing which is not what I wanted to do. And IO had that, and I haven't done the improv program at Second City, but obviously I've done a couple of main stage shows there, and I really like how they do what they do. So once things start opening back up, I think I'll probably go there. But if you don't, if you don't find one that seems like it's a community you want to be a part of, and it's tough. We're in LA, it's a hard town, and
mhm.
the improv community can be very clicky, it can be very hipstery, it can be very like lots of things that are annoying or not
Yeah. Insert adjective here.
yeah, things that aren't necessarily appealing to you. Then put your own thing together, and either that will, the people you enjoy being around, and either that will be something you'll want to continue doing, or it will lead to the thing that does. You know,
Mm, that's great. Well, thanks so much for joining me here. I did say that was the last question I had for you, but as always on this show, I'm a
always
big
lie.
fat liar. Yeah,
Yeah,
you got it. You read my
I just
mind
know.
meld, buddy.
Yeah,
But also I told you ahead of time that I was
yeah.
gonna lie, which I don't. If I tell you I'm gonna lie, but then maybe I lie about telling you I'm gonna lie, so you don't actually know
You
if I'm
gonna
gonna
lie?
lie or not until I
Yeah.
actually lie. But I did lie. I actually have another question for you. We've been talking here about improv, and I was wondering, well, you want to do some improv?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, we're gonna do some improv. Would you like a location, a relationship, or a word?
Let's do just a word.
All right, a word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two options in the chat, and you're going to tell me which one you want to go with, and we will go from there.
Okay. We got joyful or scholarship. Um, let's do scholarship.
Scholarship, great. And then who do you want to initiate?
I'll initiate.
Great.
Dad. I got into Savannah.
You got into Savannah College.
Yes! College of Art and Design, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say SCAD is generally the preferred term.
I hate that nickname. I don't like it at all. That's not the point. I got in. You're not nearly excited enough.
Yeah, I just, thought that, maybe you'd want to go to a different school.
Are you worried about the cost? Is that the problem? It's extremely expensive. Are you worried about that?
Yes and no.
Dad, I got a scholarship. I got a scholarship.
Great. That's really helpful. I just, I was hoping maybe if you're gonna get a scholarship, that maybe you get it to, Yale or Harvard or MIT or Brown or Oxford, Cambridge.
Do I look like some sort of pencil pusher to you, Dad? I'm clearly an artist. I mean, for God's sake, look how long my hair is.
Troy, this is it's just I went to Harvard, your mother went to Harvard, your older sister is currently at Harvard, and your grandfather went to.
It's not even a challenge. Anyone can get into Harvard. All of you idiots did. I would be, and also I'd be a legacy. It'd be too easy. I wanted to do something hard, like get into art school, and I did.
Well, I guess if you want to pursue your passions, that's
yes!
one way to think about it.
We are upper class white people. We don't care about money because we already have it. All right? Let's pursue our passions.
I just really think you should just consider down the line, like, for the future. Like, when I'm not here, when your mother's not here, when you may not want to be an artist anymore, what can you fall back on?
Well, if you and Mom are gone, then I don't need to fall back on anything because then I've got even more money.
Well, don't forget your sister's older than you, so, we could probably give most of the stuff to her.
Well, doesn't matter. I got into Savannah. My path is clear for the rest of my life. Dad, I'm helping you out with the scholarship too. Do you want to know how much money you're saving?
$100,000.
Ooh, you're thinking I got a much bigger scholarship than I did.
Did you get 75% Bright Futures? 50? Did you get a scholarship?
I got a scholarship. Basically, they're covering the room.
Aren't you living here?
Ooh, I did not think this out. Scene.
That was fun. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
All right, thanks so much for the Improv Summit. That's Jim. I'm Spencer. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.